Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Municipal Budget Workshop meeting for June 22nd. This meeting is being held with the benefit of public notice as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Carabelli?
Here.
Ms. Phillips? Here. Mr. Whalen?
Here.
Mr. Paparo?
Here.
Mr. Ty?
Here. And Councilman Paparo, would you lead us in a salute to the flag?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And so we're going to continue our review of the municipal budget, and we're going to start with the municipal court. Judge, welcome. Did you want to give us an overview, make any points about your budget to start? The one thing we're going to need is for you to speak into your mic,
Okay.
so that we can pick it up for the
Okay, a
record.
little closer, better?
Good. Thanks.
I sit all day,
Whatever you want.
and you know, my wife got me this Fitbit thing. I'm supposed to walk around a lot, so you
Yes.
got to do these things. I was hoping the council could indulge me, though. I'd like to, because of the extraordinary times the courts have gone through, I wanted the council to understand a bit about what's been going on and why we're making maybe certain requests that we're making and doing things that we could do. So I prepared a little statement that I'd like to do, and obviously I'll try and answer any questions then about any of the line items, and if I can't do it, I know Ms. Hamill could. So first I want to thank you all for letting me come here and talk a little about the Hamilton Township Municipal Court. I want to thank the council and obviously the mayor in absentia on behalf of Judge Ellington and myself and our director, Ms. Hamill, and our staff at the court for their past support to the department, which I'm certain will continue in support in the future. To say these have been extraordinary times in just the 5 months since Judge Ellington and I started, and Ms. Hamill about 4 months, the pandemic has completely changed and altered how we do business in the municipal courts. We've been forced to adopt technology that heretofore we never thought possible. Yet under Ms. Hamill's exceptional leadership, she's worked with the staff to the point where telephonic and video equipment, I believe, as now is our way of life in the courts, even when we go back to in-person proceedings, will continue to be part of the component that makes the municipal court function. I know I'm an embarrasser, but I have to pause here to compliment Ms. Hamill. When she took this job in February, she could never have dreamed anything like this pandemic and its impact on the court. Yet, she has, in a very short time, worked with the staff and led the staff, really, in adapting the technology necessary. And this is despite being forced to deal with our administrative office of the courts. If you don't know, the municipal courts find themselves directly under the administration of the administrative office of the courts, and we follow their dictates and rules as to how we can proceed. To give you some idea of what she had to deal with, we initially had no instruction on how to proceed. We were told the courts were closed and basically have a nice day. We were not permitted to do any criminal work initially, any kind of traffic matters that could result in license losses, suspensions. We couldn't even do small car accident cases if there was a victim involved. So you can imagine that first month or so going into April, literally the court was doing nothing. And it wasn't because of lack of effort. Ms. Hamill's had the staff rescheduling matters that had been scheduled months before, trying to get an idea that, well, maybe we can open in May, maybe we can open in June. And the staff, to their credit, did not complain at all. This work that was being done there was even made more difficult by the fact that our video equipment, which we used to talk into jails around the state and to the county, was probably 15 years old. 2005, I'm being told. We had one laptop for the entire court, and that laptop could not work without a separate Wi-Fi device. It couldn't even work on its own with Wi-Fi. In fact, we didn't have Wi-Fi ability anywhere in the court until just recently when Ms. Hamill had it installed. But as I said, and I don't mean to embarrass her, rather than giving up, she rose to the task. She didn't allow herself to become discouraged, which was very important to me, but maybe even more importantly, she didn't allow the staff to get discouraged. And I had a fear, I really did, where we were asking these folks to just constantly redo something they had done a month or two before, but I have not heard one complaint. And I've got to tell you, I've been involved in the municipal court since 1987. First as an assistant prosecutor, then a prosecutor, and then a judge. I've seen times as a defense attorney and now in Hamilton. In those 33 years, I have never, ever, and I'm not saying this out of anything but the truth, seen such professionalism as we've seen with Ms. Hamilton and the staff there. And the township should be extremely proud of the staff that's there. And I would encourage you to come and visit the court anytime you want, unannounced. And you'll see the level of professionalism being run there. I'm just so proud to be part of it, really. I didn't really work directly with establishing the budget. Ms. Hamill did all the work, really. She just came to me and said, can we do this, can we do that? And pretty much I can tell you I've agreed with her because I saw what she was trying to do. She understood, obviously, the financial strain the pandemic is placing on the township and governments all over. We knew right away, really, that our revenue was going to be down. It couldn't be otherwise, given the fact, in effect, we were shut down by the state. But on her own, she took steps to help the township. We needed technology. As I said, we really had none. She was able to get laptops. We've got them now. Microphones, webcams, we're still waiting for. They've been ordered. But she was able to get these items paid for out of state funds that were made available to us, rather than coming to the township and saying, yeah, we need 2 laptops, we need 2 or 3 webcams, we need 2 or 3 microphones. She got all those items for us paid through state funds, and as a result, just today, I'm working with a brand-new laptop that has Wi-Fi ability, but even if it didn't, we now have Wi-Fi in the courtroom. This might sound silly, but I think it shows the effort that she's put into it. Once the courts allowed us to start doing things by video and email, we had to figure out a way to get people's phone numbers, people's emails. She had an idea and ran with it. The idea of each notice that we send out, it's perforated, so you open it up. She was sticking separate letters inside telling people, your case is scheduled on this date, but please, we need your phone number and your email. We did that for a few weeks, but she understood the strain it was putting on the staff, because then they had to tape it back together. And she's made arrangements now to get stickers. So now the staff, instead of having to tear it open, stick it in, and tape it back up, will just be able to put a sticker on the front saying that we need that information in order to do court. So I really think she should be commended for that. I said we have acknowledged and would acknowledge the fact that the normal revenue has been down over the last 3 months, but we're hoping that's going to show some improvement, hopefully a lot of improvement over the next few months, as we're hopeful that courts will allow us to open for personal appearances probably next month, at least to some degree. Already we were told it was just Friday that it looks like we could start doing trials in July. Honestly, we're not going to do them in July. Truthfully, I don't feel safe having people in court doing trials, but we're hoping by August we'll do that. We schedule out 6 to 8 weeks in advance, so our turnaround time is that far in advance. So it looks like we're going to be doing trials probably come August. Hopefully, if they allow us these in-court appearances, though, in July to some degree in August, we'll be going from the number of cases we're handling now, which are anywhere from 20 to 30 defendants per session, to maybe double that, staggering it so that we won't have a lot of people showing up all at once at 8:30, and therefore creating, hopefully not creating a health problem. Instead, we'll stagger it, bring some people at 8:30, some people at 10, somebody then later in the day. Just to give you an idea, though, how this affects revenue. In the past, a typical session in Hamilton Township would have had anywhere from 75 to 100 cases. As I said, now we're doing 20 to 30. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it up to maybe a 50 to 60 person number come July into August. In conclusion, really simply, I have tried to explain above the difficulties we faced, how we've addressed them, and I want to make it clear to everybody that we understand the financial constraints the township is working under, how your budgeting is working under. We are sympathetic to that, and we actually want to be a partner with you going forward to try and figure out what can be done and what we can do to help the township. So thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, and if I can, I know Ms. Allen will be able to.
Thank you, Judge. So, okay, you want to get us started?
Do you want me to go first? I mean, okay.
I want everyone to feel free to jump in
Yeah.
during this. So, but Anthony, why don't you get us started?
All right, well, Judge, thanks for that overview. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in this evening, and Jessica as well. I looked over your budget. I think it's fairly lean. I know obviously the issues that have been faced and the obstacles due to the pandemic, and I think that, going forward with video conference.
Anthony, is your mic on? Oh, thank you.
Going forward, coming up with means to, obviously operate more remotely is essential. Okay? Good?
Can you hear me now?
No? Good? No. No, just, what did I do? How about now?
You see the light? Is the light on?
Right. Yeah, now I see it.
Now
Good?
we're here.
All right. All right. So under maintenance of other equipment, I noticed that there was an increase, and I think it has something to say, Judge, about what you mentioned in your remarks. But if you can give me some explanation on some of those costs that are associated with that line item, and the video conferencing equipment, I see the uptick on that a little bit, and I mean, obviously that's self-explanatory. What is Lectriever?
So the Lectriever, for us, that's where we keep all of our files, and there's maintenance contracts with those. So we
Okay.
already have them, it's just the contracts to maintain them. The big change here was through Impact, it was $7,500, $7,511 to install the new video system, which allows us to connect with jail. Ours was from 2005, and it was still using dial-up, and most of the jails have now converted to internet.
Yep.
So now, I was able to get approval to go ahead prior to today to install that, so, because it was just not working at all. We weren't able to get any cases heard. Now, the other big change, our security system that people walk through is over 15 years old. They're only meant to last 8 to 10 years. It has been failing, so that is a big security issue for us, because that's the first thing people do as they walk in the courtroom. So that was also what the increase was.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions on that line item? On the other professional consultant, are they the typical, I mean, it wasn't that far off from the previous years, and, it was like we spent an actual $55,000, I think, last year, roughly. I mean, are we seeing less visiting judges because,
As of right now, we are. Last year definitely was a lot more. Judge Lugier had surgery, so that required a lot more visiting judge. We are seeing less of that. The big increase there is armored car services. Prior to this year, that was being charged to the revenue collection.
I saw that, yeah.
So that is the biggest increase. We were able, I was doing the deposits myself every day for about 2.5, 3 months so that we could stop armored car service to save some money. But now that the deposits have increased, I'm not really comfortable driving them myself. It's not really what's supposed to be done. So we have started that back up just 3 days a week rather than every day.
Okay. So typically, with the increase of the armored car services, that pretty much is the difference in the two numbers from 2019 to this year. I mean, is the thought on the visiting judges and the interpreters, just because everything's a little bit down right now?
Well,
You know, do you feel you're going to hit those numbers budgeted?
I really can't say because I've never had to go through an entire year. I can tell you already, though, Judge Ellington missed a few days earlier in the year. I just covered those sessions for her, and what she did for me a week ago when I went out to Ohio to get my daughter and bring her back home, she covered the sessions for me. So by doing that, basically, we don't cost the township any money. So I've done that historically when I've been a judge, and I think Judge Ellington is on board with doing it as well.
So do you think that there is some wiggle room in those numbers?
Like I said, I don't have experience in terms of how much was actually used in prior years. I'd like to think that at some point during the year, I may be taking a couple days, and Judge Ellington might be where we can't cover for each other, but I think that might be an amount of money that we don't need that full amount.
Can I just jump in? The visiting judge fees, isn't that also if there was a conflict of interest that both of you were conflicted out of?
Yeah, that would be used in that purpose as well.
Yeah, so I don't think I feel comfortable cutting that out, because if that's something that they're both conflicted out.
No, I don't want to cut it out. I'm just saying, is there any, you know, I wasn't saying cut it out completely. Obviously, you need to have that in there, that line item, you know, and I mean, we're not saving the town a whole heck of a lot if we, you know, take a few thousand out of it, but I was just curious if there, you know, since, you know, just due to our situation,
No,
if there was a little bit more wiggle room, that, you know, that number needed to be at 10.
You know, as far as your comment about conflict, that's absolutely part of the thing. I think we're fortunate, though, since I'm pretty much a local Trenton guy, and Judge Ellington is more a South Jersey person. I think we're going to be in a situation where in most cases conflicts are not going to be an issue, and we can work it back and forth between us. I'm thrilled to be working with Judge Ellington. I think she's a superior individual, and it's been just a total pleasure working with her. And like I said, the ability to work like that is just great between the two of us.
We feel the same about you.
Yeah.
Both of you, when we heard both of you, when you first came on, we were all very impressed, and, you know, we're happy that both of you are here, because I think together you're a good team.
The resumes speak for themselves, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. And I guess the just other question I had was on other contractual items, the 4,500, the storage fee. Is that an annual? That's an annual. Go ahead.
We pay that every month. That's with DocuSafe. So for a lot of cases, there's only so much room we could fit for storage, so we have to keep them off-site. They're cases that we can't get rid of, that we have to keep. So that was always a storage. So I pay that every month.
Every month?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good.
If I could just piggyback on
Yeah.
Anthony's, I just noticed in that same other contractual items, the actual, for the last 3 years has been around 4,000. But, I was just wondering what the jump was from 4,000 to 9,000?
I would like to answer that, but I wasn't here, so I
Okay.
know, just I know wasn't the director. So I don't know if she's.
Well, yeah, I could be honest with you, I'm not completely sure, because prior to this, I wasn't allowed to have any access to the budget. I wasn't part of that process, so I couldn't exactly say why it was lower. I can say this, what I have noticed is, so document destruction, for example, we do that through Shred-it. It has not been done since 2015. I have almost a whole small courtroom filled with cases. We utilize this time right now with some staff members, and they pulled all the destruction. So, I mean, that's going to be a large fee. I just haven't, I tried to contact them, but they weren't sending people out yet. So that could be part of it. That hasn't been done. That's supposed to be done yearly, and it was not done.
Do you know, as far as part of, I mean, because 9,000 is obviously twice as much as, 4,100, so.
Correct, yes.
Trying to fill it in there.
I have to be honest, I'm not exactly sure that the copier, that most likely would be the copier maintenance fee. I haven't received the bill for that yet. we do have a maintenance fee for our copy machine. That's our larger one that we use.
Mhm.
So
So do you think it hasn't been maintained the last few years?
my guess is probably not.
Thank you.
And under equipment, you have the metal detectors there. That's the new line item for this year, right? Yeah.
Really almost frightening when I heard from our security person at the door telling us that the device probably was only working maybe half of the time, meaning that basically 50% of people are walking in, we have no idea what they have on them. So this was not a protection even for the staff or myself. I was concerned that the general public was sitting there and there was somebody possibly in the courtroom who might have had something that shouldn't have been, just a risk we couldn't possibly take.
Yeah, I reached out, so as soon as I found out about it, apparently this has been going on for over a year, but no one took care of it. So I called the maintenance company, the company where we bought it 15 years ago, and they said that it wouldn't even be worth them coming out to do maintenance on it because the model's so old that it goes by material. It picks up specific materials, and the materials of things have changed, and it would not pick up a lot of the things. So he said he could come out, charge me $550 to look at it, but there's nothing he could do.
So just to make sure I understand, the detectors themselves, the 4,500 is the
New. That's new
that's the
detectors,
that's
right?
the cost of the equipment?
So
Or-
I'm
this one's
assuming
on
it's
here,
going to be equipment.
I'm trying to remember, John, we talked, was that, is that, I have the price here for it. So the price of the metal
Yeah, I
detector
think that's what it is.
is $41.70 for new metal detector.
$4,170.
Yes.
Okay.
On page 2 where it says weapon screening unit, what would that be?
Well, that was the maintenance fee, but
okay.
we would need a whole new one.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know what it meant.
And then we have also a weapon wand as well
Gotcha.
for after it beeps.
Jessica, did you say what Electriver was? What is-
Retriever is the device we use for our filing cabinets.
Oh, okay.
For-
Yes,
for
that's right. All
digital.
right. Okay.
Everybody good? Anybody else have any other questions for Jessica and the judge? Councilman Whalen, did you? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So we will move on to the Department of Law. I see our township attorney is ready and waiting. Alyssa, do you want to give us, thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Judge.
Okay. Give it a minute. Thank you.
Just take care of Alexis for me. She's got it.
No.
Don't worry, I know.
Good evening, esteemed council. My name is Alyssa Gardstrager. I'm the Director of Law, and I'm happy to, and I'm proud to appear tonight on behalf of the All-Women Department of Law in the Township of Hamilton. I'm wearing my Wonder Woman shoes in their honor. I know the folks online can't see it, but they're fabulous shoes, and it's a fabulous department that I'm representing. I have a bunch of changes and edits, withdrawals from the line items that we have. So I'm going to save you about $9,000 tonight, at least. If we go,
Say it again, Alyssa. I'm sorry. Anyone you said?
I'm going to save you about $9,000 tonight, at least.
Thank you.
So get your pencils out, my friends.
We're ready.
We're ready.
All right. Just so you know, salary and wages, before COVID started, there was a salary increase for the attorneys, which was appropriated for, but those are not happening this year. But I do want to keep that on the radar for the council, because that was part of the promise. And, for example, Miss Eugene is my assistant. She's not being paid much more than my paralegal. I don't think that's fair. I think that needs to be rectified. If not this year, then next year. Overtime, we've requested for and recommended $5,000. We've used only $1,033 for that, so there is some wiggle room there since we're about halfway through the year. Now we're at full capacity because my full staff is now back from maternity leave, and so overtime will be less needed. Out of title, you can cross that out. $2,000 gone. Because now that we're back to full staff, we have redistributed duties. Our attorneys are now taking on duties that our staff members were doing in the past, and now we're doing it. So out of title needs to be taken out. I don't require it, and so $2,000 gone. Down to printing and binding, I just had a question because the business cards, I know they were ordered, but I don't know what's going on with that. So right now that's blank, but that's just something that's a question, just generally speaking.
Do you anticipate, what do you anticipate happening there?
Well, all I know is that the business cards were being ordered through administration downstairs for everyone. So I don't know if ultimately they'll be ordered and then we'll be billed for it for our portion, but I'm not sure. So it's just something out there that is a question. And frankly, $500 business cards or whatever is nominal, but.
That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Legal services, just so you understand, next page, there's no changes there, but so that you understand, we had the Van Horn Park litigation, we had the fire negotiations, we have redevelopment council. I will be taking on the TWW complaint. We are intervening. So I'm working with other council from other towns. It will be done in-house, and so that will be of no cost or the cost to the township. On behalf of our water-dependent residents. So you understand with the title searches, other professional consultants, that's for title searches. I just received back a title search for one of the foreclosures I'm about to embark on. That costs,
What page are you on?
I'm sorry, page 2 into page 3, other professional consultants.
Okay.
The first thing I have to do, as you recall, when you did the ordinance, it was that, or the resolution, I'm sorry, is that I've got to order a very long title search. I just got one back for the foreclosure I'm about to embark on. It costs $410. We are going to be doing a lot of tax sale foreclosures this year. We've been sitting on those, and it needs to be taken care of. So for each property that I foreclose on, I need to spend about $400. Books and publications. This is where I save you $7,000. Right now, we have budgeted $14,100. I'm going to cost you about $7,000. So Westlaw. Westlaw in the past, when I first got here, I reviewed my Westlaw contract. We had access to things like the Oregon Trust and Estates textbook. I'm sure Oregon has great trust and estates law. I'm positive, but I don't care. And the township doesn't need to be paying for that. So we reached out to Westlaw and threatened to cancel the contract entirely. And they said, well, we'll sue you. And I said, fine. You're threatening a lawyer, a litigator. I'll see you in court. And then he backtracked and said, well, you need to talk to Mr. Thomson Reuters. And I said, you and I both know Mr. Thomson Reuters doesn't exist. Thomson Reuters is the name of the company in Minnesota. So I said, you and I are no longer speaking, and I called right out to Minnesota. I also, in the interim, was negotiating with LexisNexis for a new contract. LexisNexis, I had a contract for $300 ready to go. And on a whim, we said, Westlaw, beat it. They came back to us, $250 a month. So we were paying $885.86 per month. We will now be paying $250 per month. They used to go up 10% about 7% in December. So we would have been paying this year alone $10,692.33 for Westlaw. We will now be paying $4,952.22. So those numbers need to be reduced. We are getting different books because part of the Westlaw contract involved books. We don't like their books. We want different books. So the one question is, I'm not sure yet if we order 2021 in 2020, have to pay for it, or we wait till 2021 to order and pay for it. That's the only question. That's why we still have some money there just in case. But I have to say I'm proud of Jennifer Eugene because she bluffed it. They called her bluff, and we're like, all right, then we guess we're staying with Westlaw.
Thank you, that's good. So how much did you want in that line of it? How much you feel comfortable with?
7,000.
Okay,
So 4,952 plus 2,000, which is just under $7,000, so round numbers.
okay.
Office supplies, the next page, we've asked for a little bit more, and administration asked for a little more, because now apparently we're paying for office supplies for the prosecutors and public defenders. I guess in the past, they just sort of brought their stuff from their own offices, but we got a call about 2 weeks ago and said, hey, can you send over office supplies now? We're like, so we went into our closet and sent them a couple of sticky pads and some pens and so forth. But apparently that's our responsibility now, so we're just asking for more because we need to cover that. Page 5, data processing equipment, $3,000 was recommended. We don't need that because that comes out of, because those are our computers, the updated computers that are laptops. We didn't know if we'd be paying for that out of our budget or technology. Technology is that's not part of the technology budget, so that's why it's zeroed out. Then we're on to the next group, which is municipal prosecutors, page 1. The salaries right now for the assistant prosecutor, the prosecutor salary total is $86,540. That's the salaries are the same before the ordinance change. Which remember, as you may remember, we now are dividing it up by session, so it's equitable. And though, as the judge said earlier, we were kind of not working full strength for a while because of COVID. But the prosecutors are back to full salary since May 18th. Then we get to the public defenders, which is the next group. We used to have 3 PDs. In discussion with the municipal court, in order to save money, we went down to 2 PDs. So that's one whole PD that we took out from previous years. The total for the salary is now $67,919. Now, interestingly enough, and this is something that we need to look at, there is a public defender reserve PD trust account. There's nearly $90,000 in that account. Once upon a time, the public defender's salary used to come out of that pot. I don't know why it no longer comes out of that pot and is coming out of our pot. That's a question probably for John Calderon in the budgeting department. They might have other reasons or other. I don't know if the money is now not going into it as much because it comes out of fees and whatnot. But it's something we should look at and finalize before we finalize the budget, because if that money is there and not being used, perhaps we should transfer some money over to pay for the public defenders.
Kathy, could you let us know?
Yeah, we'll take a look at the trust and see what's in there. So municipalities do it different all the time, and I want to get a sense of what are the ins that are going into that trust, right? That it generally comes from money that they do collect for public defender fees, right, from their clients.
Right.
And so I was in a municipality years ago, and we used to charge off salary to the trust until it was getting low, and then we also used to have some of it budgeted in the current fund budget. So we might want to look at some combination like that, so that it gives it a chance to replenish itself too. I'm not sure in the environment going forward how much we're going to be able to collect in public defender fees, because it becomes more challenging the more difficult the economic times are. So we'll take a look at it though, because if we do have that much in the trust, which I trust that you got the right number, we can look at maybe doing a combination of that, taking some out of the trust and then leaving some of the budget in here. So
Potential additional savings.
Yes.
that's right.
So I've already saved you by not having 3 public defenders. I've saved you approximately $19,405 this year. We are doing the session, we are paying the public defenders by session. And so January and February, there were 3 PDs before I came on board. So those numbers are still the same from January and February. Then we stopped court for a while because of COVID, so they were not being paid. And now we're back up, but they're only being paid per session.
So if you have 3 that were being paid per session, so all 3 were being paid for every session?
They did the salaries differently before I came aboard. So they had a salary period. And it didn't, so for January and February, it was their same salary from the previous years. I looked at it and said, this is silly. It should be by session. We get reports every 2 weeks. We calculate how many sessions they work. And then we've divided out the numbers, like I told you when we did the ordinances back then. And there is a mistake, so we need to come back because he's doing 8. Mr. Rubenstein, one of the public defenders, is doing 8 sessions instead of 6 sessions. So we have to alter that a little bit. But because there's 2 more sessions that we didn't know about that were added to the court schedule when they go back to full time. So.
Okay.
And then, as you know, well, you may know, there's extra monies in the DUI fund for when they do extra sessions, when they're allowed to go back to DUI trials. So that's not a part of the salary. That's a part of a separate fund. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, first of all, I think we're all very appreciative that you found us additional savings on top of the cuts that you already made. You came in with a lean budget. So I know we're appreciative. I'll open it up to council for any questions.
Yeah, I guess you may have hit on this one, and I'm sorry, I was just trying to keep track. Under the personnel expenses and training, do you expect seminars to be taken?
Yeah, we still have,
remotely?
and also frankly, normally I can get a lot of our CLEs done at League of Municipalities, but right now that's unclear whether that's even going to go forward and how they're going to handle that. So we might have to do separate seminars apart from, and every time we do League of Municipalities is one cost.
Yep.
If we have to do separate CLEs, then we're going to have to piece it out. So at this point, I just don't know.
That was my only question. Thank you for your work and I know it was, we keep on hearing lean budget, but this was also, I noticed a lot of decreases in the line items and I thank you for your thoroughness and going through it and just making some cuts that, are helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, Alyssa, you and I have worked closely together already on a number of issues. You and Jen, I've just been very impressed, and I'm appreciative of the work that you did on this budget, so thank you for that. And
Two more things.
Sure.
Oprah. So the clerk used to have an Oprah council. He's working on one massive case in front of Judge Jacobson that we've gotten the okay for them to continue that. The question was, after his contract ended overall, we at the law department have had to take over some of that responses and review. So there's 2 options. One is perhaps rehire and have the clerk have his firm is Laddie, Clark, and Ryan, or go back out to bid, however Ms. Beto decides that we should do it correctly, or we need a 3rd attorney.
For strictly Oprah matters?
Strictly Oprah matters. So it's, litigation, responses, helping the clerk review. We thought this year the Oprah request would go down, and initially that was the case. It has since become not the case anymore. I've already had to write at least 1 letter, and I've had to review a lot of things and block out a lot of things. So
Where would that fall, Alyssa?
It's not in our budget, it's in the clerk's budget. The problem is, this is sort of a heads up that if it doesn't continue to go out, and ultimately, maybe next year, we decide not to send it out to outside counsel, in which case I would need a third junior attorney, because it takes us a lot of time.
What, so the contract, I guess we'll get to that when we talk to the clerk's office, but, do you happen to know what the cost of that contract is or has been?
Was it 70?
I thought it was roughly around,
60, I don't quote me, but I think
I thought it was
in,
around that, yeah.
yeah.
And if we needed or decided the best way to go would be to add an attorney, what would you anticipate?
The attorney would be junior, so right now, my salary as a nearly 25-year attorney is about $120,000. Ms. Eugene's salary is about, I have it written down, $92,000, $93,000. My paralegal's at $83,000. So our the attorney numbers are low already, but I would say bring in someone for about that amount already. We could do 5 or 6. It doesn't have to be a very long practicing attorney. This is something I could teach, and then they could work on it for half a day every day, and then the rest of the day they could be doing other litigation matters or whatnot. And frankly, as I've told you, I'm bringing much more litigation in because I'm a litigator by trade. I can take care of it. There's no reason for it to go out. And if I oversee a full department and full staff, we could really churn a lot.
So
And
you saw a dip in the Oprah numbers, but now they have,
now it seems to be going up again.
they've gone back to last year's levels?
I don't know if it's last year.
No.
Not yet. Not yet.
Can't be that high.
Okay. And so the handling Oprah's, if you look at it from a cost standpoint, obviously there are man hours in the clerk's office. Every single department that gets Oprah, there's going to be someone who has to spend time on it in each of those departments.
And we often get questions from random department gets an Oprah request and they call us and say, hey, can you look at this? Would this apply? What do you think about this? So there's just the general questions, and then there's can you look at this document and see what, if anything, needs to be redacted? And so because the Oprah Council's contract ended in April, I've noticed in the last several months, those calls and emails have become much more, and of course, it's time sensitive, so it puts a stop to anything else.
And because that contract is expired now, it's coming directly to you,
Coming directly to us, yes.
you and Jen.
Yep.
And that was the private firm? Is that the private firm?
Private, yes. So right now, there's one case that he's handling that is before Judge Jacobson, and it's going to go to a plenary hearing. It's a case of first impression. So we talked to the mayor, and I was like, I could take it on, but I have to learn it from scratch, and I have to start from the beginning.
I'm sorry, a case of first impression?
A case of first impression means it hasn't been decided yet in a court of law. And so Judge Jacobson will be making new law based on whether a certain piece of information, a certain type of document falls under Oprah, and whether it's a government record, whether it's safe to turn over, whether it should be redacted. The judge will make a decision, and
Meaning
Judge
there's
Jacobson.
no precedent
There's no precedent.
anywhere?
No, not, well, it's New Jersey case law, so no. And so,
Uncharted territory, which takes some time for our lawyers.
right.
Okay. Okay. Got anything else?
I was just going to say, did, John and Kathy, you can get with Alyssa just to talk all these changes, because I tried to keep track of them, and I probably missed a few, but
I've got all my notes, I can
Thank you.
work with
Thanks,
them.
Alyssa.
Thank you for going through, sharpening your pencil and coming to us with some, we really do appreciate that.
My pleasure.
In a year like this, we're trying to identify anything. So I think we're all very appreciative. So thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
And now for the main event.
funny. I take $2. Just to bust the shot.
Are we on music right now?
Yeah.
All right, we're on music. Curious if you wanted to take 5.
I bought them, I gave it to my husband.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what, we're gonna, everybody, we're gonna take 5. Fred, we're just gonna take 5.
All right, I'm gonna go out and get something to eat, I'll see you.
A break was, you got it, Fred. A break was requested, and, probably a good idea. You got a hammer? You dropped the hammer?
Very good.
Just out of the judgment.
We don't work for free.
So it's fine. So just something to keep in mind.
Thanks for the,
With all the work you guys are doing, plus how much money.
he offered actually to come over today, but I was like, I gotta cut back some bushes. Like he was that fast. I just messaged for him this morning.
The more we take, the more we take care.
Well, you don't even know if he's circling your back.
You know, I know we were asking some of these.
And he'll be honest.
Couldn't use it short, yeah, he'll be honest.
To spend money for different, projects, like one is giving you fire consolidation. And that is all the environmental stuff.
Right. And some of that, you know, the fire consolidation, that was so.
I got friends, I go, an opinion on this, because the attorney we hire is so busy, and the union attorney they hire is so busy. You can't get them. It's only 3 hours.
All weekend, the anticipation was building for this meeting. No. We didn't.
It's tough, you don't want to overload one person. I mean, God knows you probably haven't taken a break since. I mean, at some point, you need a break because, you know, it's a bonus, right? I have to.
Yes, he wrote on Facebook. The little things like here.
No, yeah, we got it. Almost me over there.
They were finding my life. They were finding my life.
Somebody has to,
My husband's like,
somebody has to call him on that to get that. We forgot.
I can go off.
What, Wednesday? Wednesday? Wednesday's my daughter's birthday, so I want to get out of here. Yeah, or if we're gonna start late, I'll do the birthday cake before I leave. Either way, I'm good. I got it right here. Yeah, hell, it's wreck. Well, yeah, but there's a lot because there's a lot of stuff that we're talking. There's a lot of stuff we're.
Recreation, yeah. Remember we were looking at the capital, and there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Remember you kept trying to blame it on public works? So there's stuff that maybe we could, so that's, yeah. Yeah, when the date came out, I was kind of like, it'll be okay. Look, she's got another one next year, you know?
Everybody ready to get started? We're gonna get back.
No, I'm coming. All right, I'm muting it. 3, 2, 1. I'm muting.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. And, Fred, thank you for joining us tonight, Director Dumont. And, did you want to just give us an overview?
I would, Council President. Thank you very much. Members of council, thank you for having us here tonight. I am proud to appear before you to talk about our department, the Community and Economic Development. Before I start, tonight I have with me my Administrative Secretary, Vanessa Crispell. Vanessa is a wealth of information, has worked in my department for 23 years. Rest assured, when good things happen in my office, that Vanessa has something to do with it. I asked Vanessa to join me so we can answer any of your questions. However, I also want to acknowledge all she does for our residents. I also want to thank Vanessa for her help that she has provided to me my time as director. Thank you very much, Vanessa. So I joined the administration on January 2nd, 2020, the same day as the mayor. I was the 48th employee of our department. Today we have 40 employees. Thus, we are understaffed and underfunded. However, we achieve great accomplishments. Our department consists of 8 divisions: building inspections, housing, zoning, engineering, land use, planning, affordable housing, and economic development. We also administer several independent bodies, including zoning and planning boards, rent leveling and redevelopment boards, economic advisory and shade tree commissions, and the board of public officers. So the breakdown is as follows. Our building inspections department has 16 employees, down from 25 last year. We have a vacancy for construction official and the fire inspector. That's our lead inspector for that. We currently have an interim lead inspector. We eliminated 8 part-time positions while our workload has increased. Inspections are busy with homeowners, particularly with pools, deck fences, commercial projects like the new hotel on Route 130, Columbia Group, and renovations at all of our schools. Last year, we performed 19,830 inspections. To date this year, we performed 7,576 inspections compared to 8,659 in the same period last year. So only about 1,300 inspections behind. Our Department of Housing has 6 employees. That's an increase of 1 employee from last year. We added an employee because we eliminated our contract with BTSA. That was our vacant housing company, and we inherited duties from the Health Department. This division issues change of occupancy certificates for sale and rental properties, quality of life inspections for rental properties, and abandoned properties. Last year, we performed 4,982 inspections. To date, this year, I performed 2,005 inspections. So we're on par to be close to what we did last year. Our zoning office has one employee. He investigates all zoning complaints. And I need to tell you, there's an awful lot of them on a daily basis. Last year, our zoning office issued 302 notices of violations. Thus far this year, we have issued 315. Last year, this time, he issued 158. So our zoning violations are right through the roof. He also has approved 38 shed fence applications, 8 pool permits, 5 automobile dealerships, and has 6 pending cases in front of our municipal court. Our engineering department has 6 employees. That's a decrease of 2 from last year, and administers 4 major categories. The roadway capital improvement project, that's overlays and reconstruction of our roads, sidewalk replacements, storm and sanitary replacements, and traffic improvements. Land development reviews for zoning and planning boards, services to our residents, including deeds, curb, driveway, and sidewalk approvals, and storm water management, including flood mitigation plans. Now, this is one area where we've fallen short in the past. So we've picked it up. It's a lot of work for us. We've coupled with our friends in the Public Works Department, and we've talked on a daily basis on how we improve our flood water management program. Just so everybody in council knows, there's 4 departments that have some skin in that game: engineering, public works, WPC, and health. Also, we all get together about our storm water management and our MS4 permit. We are currently working with Rutgers to overhaul 6 rain gardens in Veterans Park. Land use has 2 employees, including the zoning and planning board secretary. This division reviews and approves applications for single-family homes, decks, in-ground pools, and sheds. Planning division has 2 employees. They review applications and make presentations before the zoning and planning boards. They work with Green Acres, open space preservation, and they're part of our master plan. Affordable housing is a federally funded division that handles Section 8 housing, rehabilitation of homes for low-income households, and they monitor our CDBG grants. They have 4 employees. And our last division is economic development. We added that to our department this year. Before the pandemic hit us, we were entertaining many proposals. They are all starting to come back to us slowly, including one that I just received tonight. There are numerous large warehouse projects and several housing developments in the works. In an effort to support our businesses, we've co-hosted Zoom meetings with our business association partners, and we have 3 of those this week and 1 next week. And I am most proud of the efforts we put forth to support our outdoor dining applications. In this area, we'll announce tomorrow, we're meeting with our restaurant owners in September to discuss permanent outdoor dining going forward. To date, we have approved 45 permits for outdoor dining, and if you go out there in the township, you'll see many restaurants have it, and it's a successful endeavor for everybody. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Fred, thank you very much. And Vanessa, thank you for joining us. Obviously, a crucial part of the operation here. And I know, Fred, that you've come to us with a lean budget. You've made cuts. What would you attribute the increase in zoning to? Just a change of focus in zoning enforcement?
You know, Council President, a lot of people are sitting home. I think they had more time to look at their neighbors. Sometimes people are bitter at home. I think that brought out the worst in a lot of people rather than the best. And I think that has equated into just people getting on their computers, filing a complaint, picking up the phone and filing a complaint. It's an unusual number. We have a gentleman who calls us on every other day, and finally on Friday, it had enough. Vanessa and I went out to his household. I talked with his wife. Vanessa talked with him. He called up and thanked us afterwards. I think people just want to be heard out there. Some of this may be attributed to the pandemic causing problems in houses, not having enough money to maintain their properties. And certainly, our abandoned houses has increased dramatically. And that's a problem that we're having difficulty getting in front of. So,
Councilman,
Yeah.
Charlie. Yes. Councilman Wells. Director Dumont, Fred, I could call you, right?
no.
Just two questions. Two of them that jumped out at me, and I know you're not asking for what was, it looks like, spent in the past, but still, it looked like we had an increase, I guess, in overtime in engineering services and community planning, which seemed to be in the past, the last 5 years, we're in the over $35,000 in community planning compliance and just under 30,000, I guess, if you average it out in engineering. Do you expect that to go down, or will that be the average going forward?
Well, we averaged about 30,000. We asked for 40 as a department.
Mm-hmm.
The administration cut that down to 20, which is, low for us. We have eliminated all overtime in all of our departments. But years ago, our engineering department had 18 engineers in it. We have a ton of applications we're pursuing now. So we wanted to have some money in there in case we get behind. If an applicant comes in front of our zoning or planning board, it's time mandated from the time we deem the application complete. So while I don't see any need for it at this time, for anybody to work any overtime to approve those applications, I do believe it's beneficial to have money there should we need it.
But yet, I guess in buildings and code enforcement, naturally, because I noticed one of the notes on here, scheduled shutdowns, emergency calls, after hours inspection, I guess that is typical in that department?
If there's a fire at the house, and, of course, the fire company responds, but then address the electrical or structural issues, we need to have an inspector on site. Same thing would happen with a car hitting a house. We'd have to have an inspector on site. And believe it or not, Councilman, I'm shocked how many times it happens during the course of a year.
So even though there's a decrease in there, that's typically, I guess, an average number of what's needed to cover the costs for the year, right?
That is correct. Our process is that the police contact me, I contact the head inspector, and he sends somebody out.
One of the things you noted, and I guess it's a question that I have, and probably maybe other council members too, is especially going forward, as far as revenues coming into the town, with the amount of businesses that were, since this administration took over, what was our unoccupied business number compared to what it is presently, and can you forecast after this is over where we're going to be at?
I don't have a crystal ball, Councilman, but in our retail establishments, we were at 30% vacancy. We think that rate could be as high as 70 by the time we're done with this. We haven't really started a strong promotion program yet for our retail, trying to get through the restaurant processes first. That process starts tomorrow with the Zoom calls. We also have applied for a CDBG grant that gives us $90,000 to help low-income and minority businesses. So we intend to get out there and support them with that. Tough situation, Sure. I don't know how a lot of these businesses are going to survive. We have a constant message. When somebody calls, we go visit somebody, it's how can we help? And when somebody comes in front of our land use board, we don't say no, we don't say yes, we say, let's see how we can make this work. So we're taking more of a business-friendly attitude here, but this is unknown territory.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify something regarding the overtime that you spoke of. Thanks, Kevin. In the years past, what we would do, we would see, definitely we budgeted for 15 and we more than doubled that. That was because Tim Addison or Rich Williams, their escrow for going to board meetings, we're taking out of that and then reimbursed at a later time. That's not how we're going forward, but you will definitely see a decrease in that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Fred, I know we joke a lot, but I just want to say a big thank you to you. You hit the ground running from day one. You showed great leadership. You've taken on that department and really have done some wonderful things in really some difficult circumstances, and I truly mean that. You know, just from your work with the restaurants, getting them up to speed, the business registry, the fact that, you know, just the fact that, you know, your employees, all the employees I talk to talk about you and just say you're like the, you know, you never age. You're like the Tasmanian devil. You just, you know, he's like, you know, you go 180 miles an hour. So that is appreciated. And Vanessa, I just want to say, I also had a, you know, recently there was a issue that arose, and the gentleman called me back after speaking with you, and he said she was so professional, and so, and then, you know, I think you developed a good team around you. You have, you know, such good folks in that department, and I think the addition of Kate was a good addition, and I think that she's going to be a strong piece to that. Rob Hopper does wonderful things. Now I'm going down the path of name calling. I'm done. so I'm going to stop right there. But everyone, you know, just some great individuals in that office, and I think you've done a great job leading the charge. So just a few questions I had, and under master plan reexamination, I know we've sort of you know, move the can down, you know, from year to year. Is, you know, are we under a time constraint to get this done? Is that why this is on there right now?
We are under the time restraint, and that $5,000 was just a down payment for what's needed. Process needs to get started and ramped up very soon.
Because we're almost, is it every 10 years that we have, I think, 8 to 10 years, something like that? So,
Believe so.
Yeah, okay.
And thank you for the kind words, too.
No, you
really appreciate it.
No, it's definitely true. I had another question under engineering, under professional, I believe. I just gotta find it. Sorry, guys. Under other professional consultant, engineering. There was teleconference charges due to COVID-19. Couldn't we take that out of any CARES money, or is that 10,000?
We are going to reverse our funds from the escrow accounts. So we tell each developer, if you choose to go forward through Zoom, we're going to charge your escrow accounts the cost of the Zoom meeting. It's $1,350. If not, they could choose to wait till whenever it is we come back to live meetings. So I think you remember that Wawa had 2 applications. They chose not to go forward.
Yeah.
They pushed it off. They've asked if we're going to open up for meetings in August, and if we do, that they can be put on the agenda. We haven't given them an answer yet.
Okay. So that number needs to stay in as a line item?
It does.
It does, okay. I guess, I mean, this is a minor one, but the planning board, just the personal training and expenses, is that due to new board members?
So we are required to send any new board member to be trained. It's a Saturday class. We have 5 new planning boards, is that what we said? So 5 new planning board members, they had to go.
Okay.
In our zoning, it's a similar situation. We still have 1 vacancy, so that individual will go. We had 2 new zoning board members. It's a state requirement that they be certified.
Okay. How's the business directory going? Is that going to, you know, is that?
We expect it's going to come online July 1st.
Okay.
We're working with the clerk's office. They're actually going to administer it, and then we get all the information. It's been a tedious process trying to refine it, what we're to get. but it's something we need. I mean, it's embarrassing that I think that we don't know how many businesses are in that town. We have to go around and ask about it, but this will solve a lot of that.
And, I guess, one project I was thinking about, that, any news on the, Mill One? Any update on the Mill One development that we, recently?
Talked about the reentry
Yeah.
program. We just recently have secured an MOU with the Henry J. Austin Center to provide medical services for there. We got an MOU with, who's the other one, Vanessa? One, with the One Stop, Mercer County One Stop, we secured an MOU with them. The last thing we need to do is to get a business who will provide food and lunch for them. I had reached out to Chiarello's, but unfortunately, Kay Chiarello passed away. So I'm going to reach out to them probably later on this week.
Okay.
And then we have a couple letters of recommendation still outstanding. And once that's done, then the application will be ready to submit.
When do we, maybe in the fall, we hear back from them, or is it
I think we'll hear back in October.
October? Any update you can provide, with, the Congolean project, obviously a big project? Anything that, or is it still with the, you know?
We had a meeting, we believe we have acquired the services of a consultant, but we haven't received their financial proposal yet. We think they're the right one. It's going to be on the more expensive side, but we only have one shot at this. As you know, we've had a number of meetings with New Jersey Transit because we want to mirror it to be one project, not two distinct projects. Still feel strong that that's going to happen, but New Jersey Transit has issues like most of the government does right now. So, we're moving along with our path and providing New Jersey Transit with any information we have, we've agreed to give them, and they have. They've conducted several studies about ridership, but that got thrown off by the pandemic. So, it's moving along, but there's still much work to be done here.
So the consultant that you're looking at to assist with that redevelopment project or the planning for it, what role do you expect them to play in the process?
Well, in the end, we're going to need a developer who's going to do that. So that consultant will prepare all the information and send out to the developers, tell them what we're looking to do. We're not going to allow a developer to design it without us agreeing upon it. So that's why we need a consultant to steer that. We don't have the capability in our office to outline something like that. We could be talking about a 7-figure project here by the time we're done doing all this. So we need a professional, one we're speaking with, and I'm a little hesitant to tell you their name until we've secured an agreement with them. They've done work at the North Brunswick train station, where there's a transit village going up. They've also worked in Jersey City. We feel confident that they're the right one.
Great.
I'll reinforce what Anthony said. Thank you so much for your great leadership, especially what you've done for the restaurants, getting all this outdoor seating, getting our businesses up and running. The only question, a lot of what Anthony asked, the only one that stood out to me also is, I was just curious about the, under planning board legal services, there was a 100% increase in cost, so there was 17,000 spent last year, but we're budgeting for 30,000. I was just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
And the same thing for the zoning board, we're asking for 30,000 for that. So, if we make a, planning or zoning board make a decision, that's up for appeal, and then we would have to provide the legal services to defend that appeal. We have one case now with the planning board that, the attorney's defending. We have a number of controversial projects coming up, including a Synergy project, which is a solar field. And, either way, we think we're going to be sued for that one, and that litigation could go on for years. As you know, we're planning a solar field for, the old Patterson Avenue site. That could be up to litigation, and, we think that's the amount of money we need, even though it is more.
Yeah.
When we're going to be more aggressive out there, that's why it's great. It's good, but it also has a bad side to it too.
Yep, I understand. Thank you.
we letting Fred off easy? Yeah, we're gonna.
Way too easy, way too easy.
Listen, I thought I was cutting Vanessa. I was real happy tonight, so.
You can't let you do that, Chris.
Thank you.
So, why don't we go to capital?
Good job, guys.
Nice work, very thorough. You don't have, right?
Huh? We do have capital.
What do you have?
We'll leave, we're good.
Here, let's just review.
We have capital road projects.
Wait, that's on,
So what happens is Chris has roads he does in-house. We do roads through contractors. We do the scope of work.
Fred, which ones are yours then, under capital? Because,
Yeah.
Is this that last page?
Starts with Eaton Avenue, Joni, Fenwood, Lennox, Henry, Paxton. We have a grant.
oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Paxton and South Florida grants, and then we have some miscellaneous pavement, curb, and a drainage project. So those are roads that go out to consultants. Yep.
Yeah, it's just for,
Yeah,
it's just
they're
like,
not on that list. And then, we did have additional that weren't funded for 2019, Razorback, Wolfpack, Lily, and Manual. I believe you have that as well, that was the additional.
I think we just approved Razorback. I think we,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
right?
we just need the funding.
Nice one.
No one's tricking a book. No one's tricking a book.
We approved it.
We approved a little bit of it, then we need to actually get it going. Yeah.
So you expect most of these to be done
Expect
2020,
most of them to be bid out.
bid out in 2020?
Yeah, we don't think we're gonna be able to finish them
Well,
before
the
the
ones I just spoke of, Razorback, Wolfpack, Lily, and Manual, Armor Mason, and Liberty, yes, we expect them done this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Now, Liberty, isn't the county doing that?
Yes.
Give it, yeah, okay.
Yep, they're gonna do the street, they're gonna do the striping for us. We had an agreement, you probably remember, last year with council. So we're just funding, I think we have 42,000 of that.
Okay.
We have the agreement that already went through council.
That's for police services when they're doing this.
No,
All right, you are getting it off.
what, the ones that are crossed off, Vanessa, are they being eliminated to the following year?
yes.
Those were cuts
We
that
had,
are made by the
yeah, we had
administration.
to cut a little bit, and,
How do you decide which ones get cut?
Mayor Martin actually decided that, and a lot of that was through, road readings or complaints that we've had in the past with certain roads, because there becomes a problem, which now we're fixing with Civil Solutions. Everyone's working in the spring. It's nice out, we're doing the roads. So when do we do road grading? In the winter. And we tend to do them December, not even, I would say January, February, actually. But November is when we have to have our budget in, usually. So it's kind of like a conflict. But with, like I said, Civil Solutions, we're going to have a 3-year program, which is going to be great. This way, we don't have to worry about that inconsistency with the road rating. Because it can happen if you have a bad winter. All of a sudden, a rating that could be a 60, plowing, kinds of things could go down to the 30s. So, and people don't want to hear what your proposed list is, and then they see that it keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed. So I think that council approving Civil Solutions was great.
And as Director Markley spoke last week, Trenton Waterworks is a nightmare for us.
Yes.
All these road openings, and we're working with Public Works and our legal department because we want to redefine the obligations of a contractor who opens up a road. If you go down Norway Avenue, it looks like a checkerboard, all the openings. So we want to put something in place where if you open up the road so many times, you own the road, and you don't just repair it, you repave the entire road. So we're in the process of working on that.
Well, Yardville Huntley Square Road, county?
No. Us, we're applying for a grant right now to try to repave that road.
Well, it's
We
being
have a grant right now.
It's being repaid right now, but that's a question that we all have now. So for instance, they're doing all the new, high-tension poles, right? So you're paving that road, we're paving that road, not you are, but we are, we're paving that road now. And you're gonna still have heavy equipment that's gonna be going across that new paved road. Would that be the responsibility of the contractor that's doing the work when they do damage to
It's
that?
damage, yes. Now, Public Services is a good customer.
Okay.
They do it. But,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Don't forget to talk into your mic, Betty.
I hate these lights.
so, that's why, and Vanessa's point needs to be well taken. This road rating system is important to us, so we can have a 3-year road program in front of us. And we can adjust that road program to say, we have a development coming here that's going to over the road, we have public service going there, and a lot of adjustments can be made in that. So if we have a long-range program, it's easiest for us to do. I don't know why this happened, but in the past, there wasn't a lot of conversation between engineering and public works. We have a meeting every other week where we talk just about roads. And so we're crystal clear, we're all on one page about it. And I give Chris Markley a ton of credit. He's an asset to the township here.
Thank you.
It does look like, you know, the mayor just went in and based on the numbers, the highest rated roads, try to get one more year out of them, with the possible exception of AAA, which is probably not one of the most heavily traveled roads. It's a loop off of 130, so relatively limited traffic there. So,
Plus, we're also looking into our Transportation Improvement District Fund, which unfortunately wasn't used for many years, which can do a road reconstruction. So we've been working on that, I would say, the last 3 or 4 months. Just trying to be honest, trying to figure out the account. And there's 2 different areas. You have Central and then you have Sloan and Quaker Bridge. So what we want to do is, going forward, utilize that, not just for traffic signals or things like that, use that money to overlay, because developers are coming in, they're paying the town quite a bit of money for certain fees, especially for TID fees. So they want to see that if we're doing a road, it's not coming out of a capital budget. It's coming out of money that they've given the town as part of their approvals in their resolution.
I'll give you another side to that too. We have developers who have to pay into a tree account. If they build something, they can't replace the trees, they have to pay a certain percentage into that tree account. So we're getting ready to announce a $1 million tree program. We're gonna plant trees throughout the town, but we're gonna do it different than we ever did it. We're gonna break down the town into sections based off of the garbage collection. So we're gonna announce ahead of time, we're gonna do this section, replace trees in this section, spring of this year, the next section fall of this year, so people can get out in front of it. But there's 1.3 million in that tree account. So it's easy for us to spend $1 million and really turn this around. And that's what that's the same. The TID account was contractor money they placed in there, and it's just sitting in an account. So now we're going to put it to good use.
Fred, along the same lines, I know, one question I always get is, I know some towns put, and I believe Hamilton did also, the list of streets that are going to be paved. They used to list that online. Is that something that maybe we can get back to keep the residents in the loop of, hey, when is my street going to get done? At least there's a projection.
Thank you, Councilman. That's why we want the 3-year program put in place. Everybody will know 3 years in advance, your road's going to get done this year. So guess what? You might not do your curb this year, your sidewalk this year, anticipation of the township coming by.
Right.
It's all about coordination between our departments and long-range planning.
Thank you.
Fred, this might be more Chris, but, Markley, but the Civil Solutions is gonna do, when do they go out? And when's their first time that they're going out to do their,
Vanessa, you remember that?
Yeah, I think by the end of July, they'll be finished.
wow, okay.
I think it's I'm sorry. I believe what I'm told, it's 1 week and they can do the entire town.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, good.
So remember though, we were planning on saying 1, 2, 3, that's how we're gonna do the treats, but now we gotta put in, Trenton Waterworks into that, different.
Right.
So we're still gonna be a human element involved in the
Right.
process now.
has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is everybody good?
All right, I've got copies of the outdoor dining approvals. One for everybody, I'll leave it for you. And this is the most updated one as of today. We're up to 45.
Actually,
Thanks, Fred.
Fred, one other thing before you guys, run off.
We got the, application list here, and I just didn't know if you wanted to go over that?
That's our schedule. I
Okay.
mean, we're good with it right now. What we do is we have a meeting, we're going all through the approvals. You'll see Thomas Rhodes is on there. We're looking forward to those two projects. The key's gonna be warehouses. You're gonna see, maybe 10 to 12 warehouses coming in front of our planning and zoning boards between now and the end of the year. It's a hot item. Developers are telling me they're getting 3 times their asking price from warehouse developers. So, but you know what? The mayor and I talked today, somebody brought up to me, where are these warehouses going to be 15 years down the road? And I think that's a discussion needs to be had, but I don't see online buying or anything like that decreasing at all. I think it's going to increase, and that's why we're working with all these warehouses to get them off of highways, out of sight, out of mind, so to speak, and not interfere with our traffic as much.
Okay.
So there's a lot of conversation that goes into these warehouses.
Councilman Whalen, did you have a?
No, he answered it with his statement.
Yeah, kind of.
No, yeah, I was just gonna add, they'll become like a bounce you where I lived the last 5 years of my life with my kids. With those big warehouses, the space there that they use for like play spaces and, yeah.
Kind of creative.
One quick question, I guess, Fred, would be, with that amount of warehouses that are being talked about being brought into Hamilton Township, are they actually looking at maybe an area or district that we would locate them in, or?
All right, so what we're doing is, we're trying to, the Bromley area, we're trying to make our light industrial area. You've had that ordinance that's going to bring BioVert into the old Siemens De Laval project. We've had Princetell open up a second facility. We're aggressively working towards taking down the Neopower rubber facility. So that'll be our light industrial area. Of course, these warehouses want to be near highways. So 130 is their big concern. But I'm dealing with a contractor, a developer right now, who wants to put 3 warehouses right on 130, and I'm telling them no. We're not going to do that there. It's their argument is the FedEx project that stands out. That's all you see. I don't like that look in Hamilton. We don't want to be. Mayor's very clear. This is not going to be Cranberry South. So we're going to work to avoid that to the best of our ability. But we inherited the warehouses on 130. I never liked the project, but that's there. We approved now. But the other warehouses you're going to see are going to be behind areas and land that most likely was landlocked, where you wouldn't have a housing project. Retail couldn't go there. So we're being very particular with these people.
That's good to hear. Thank you. And Fred, you and I have had conversations around the warehouses and the concerns about overbuilding in that regard and potentially overbuilding. And I think that's why I'm grateful that you budgeted for, an update to the master plan. I think it really creates an urgency behind looking at that and making sure that the warehouses that get built here get built where we want them built, and don't bump up too much against our residential areas in those circumstances where we can protect those areas. So I'm appreciative that you're being proactive in that regard.
In my conversation with this developer tonight, he told me how he appreciated my business-friendly approach, my everything. I said, please don't make a bad mistake and consider that as a sign of weakness, because I'll hold the line with anybody. So, we need tax write-ables, we need jobs, but we also need to keep this town being the way we all want it to be. So I think that's a difficult but an interesting process, and I believe we're going to be able to achieve that.
Great. So unless anyone else has anything?
Vanessa's still employed, huh?
Vanessa's good. She's all right.
Want to put in for a transfer? Can we all vote on it right now?
Thank you, everyone. This
Thank you for the opportunity.
There's something, Fred Dumont. Are we off yet? Kev, are we done?
No, nice.
Is it off?
You gonna sing and dance now?
No, I think.
Are we off yet?